picture clarifies the four lobes of the central nervous system. The brain has four regions: the cerebrum, the diencephalon, the brainstem, and the cerebellum. The cerebral hemisphere contains the greatest mass of brain tissue, and each hemisphere, as we said, has four lobes, which are frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. Corpus callosum connect two hemispheres responsible for transmission of information from one side of the brain to another. The basal ganglia, located deep in the cerebral hemisphere and responsible for controlling of fine body movement, الحركات الناعمة البسيطة, including those of hand and lower extremity. Diencephalon contain three major parts: thalamus, hypothalamus, المهاد وتحت المهاد, and pituitary gland. Thalamus, either side of the third ventricle, relays stations for all sensation except smell. The hypothalamus تحت المهاد, inferior to the thalamus, responsible for, مسؤول عن, regulate autonomic nervous system, work with pituitary to maintain fluid balance, maintain temperature, influence hormonal secretion. Also, it's the house centers for hunger, sleep, blood pressure, aggressive and sex behaviors, and emotional responses. The pituitary gland, two parts, anterior and posterior part. The posterior part responsible to produce two hormones, antidiuretic hormone and oxytocin, while the anterior part responsible to produce many hormones like growth hormone, luteinizing hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, thyroid releasing hormone, عفوا مش thyroid stimulating. This picture clarifies the thalamus, hypothalamus, and the pituitary gland. Also clarifies the four lobes of the central nervous system, which are frontal, parietal, occipital view. لكن الtemporal مش مبينة هون لأنها جانبية. Also here the brainstem, which composed or consists of three parts: midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata. The midbrain connect pons and cerebellum with cerebral hemisphere, serve as center for auditory and visual reflexes. The pons located between midbrains and medulla, and between medulla and cerebellum. Medulla transmits motor fiber from brain to spinal cord, and transmit sensory fiber from spinal cord to brain. Contains centers for heart, respiration, blood pressure, and the medulla considered the origin for the cranial nerve 5 and 8. This picture also clarifies the brainstem, midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, the corpus callosum here, also the diencephalon, which contain the thalamus, hypothalamus, and pituitary gland. Cerebellum responsible for smoothness and coordination of movement, control fine body movement, balance, and position sense. Cerebellum separated from cerebral hemisphere by a fold of dura mater called tentorium. The cerebellum has both excitatory and inhibitory action and is largely responsible for coordination of movement. يعني له excitation تحفيز و inhibition تثبيط function وظائف، بالإضافة إلى أنه مسؤول عن الحركات fine movement ناعمة, small body movement, and all of these fine movement could be examined by physical exam اللي تعلمناه بchapter physical exam, like finger to nose movement, rapid alternating movement. هاي بفيزيكال اكزام اخذناهم. balance عن طريق انه hopping in place، القفز في نفس المكان. standing from sitting position to standing up position without hand support. Also position sense, awareness of where your body part is. Help maintain body and upright in space. Integration of sensory input. Spinal cord connected to the cerebrum by brainstem. Provide link between the brain and the peripheral parts. It's a 4 centimeter thickness as finger, extended from foramen magnum at the base of the skull and the upper level of the body اللي هو على مستوى ال L2 أو lumbar 2. Containing below this level are the nerve root أو ما يسمى بالhorse tail. This shape classify the spinal cord with the vertebra started from C1 to C8, thoracic vertebra from T1 to T12, lumbar from lumbar 1 to lumbar 5, and sacral from sacral 1 to sacral 5. This picture clarifying what we said previously. Coccygeal is the last vertebra.